I thought this team would take the right steps moving forward last season, not necessarily in the win column, but in the development department. They did nothing of the sort, and now they're trying to be competitive again by throwing out a dump truck full of money at Carlos Santana and Jake Arrieta in order to get this team to relevance. So let's have a look at their roster. I mentioned the Carlos Santana signing, and that was about the only thing I mentioned when it comes to their lineup, but they do have some other guys like Rice Hoskins and Nick Williams, Maikel Franco, and they have a couple of prospects that are going to be brought up in Jorge Alfaro and JP Crawford, and then there's also Cesar Hernandez and Odubel Herrera in the top of the order. And so these guys may not hit for average necessarily, but it's Citizens Bank Park. You're not really going to hit for average very often, but it is all about getting on base and getting home runs. That's just the way that Citizens Bank is constructed. And I mean, you have a good contact hitter in Odubel Herrera, who does fit Citizens Bank in that sort of sense, because lefty bats, I mean, they don't do much better, or really any better than right-handed bats. It's about equal, but I think he'll be good in that 3-hole. I questioned it last year, but I was wrong to question it. And so Cesar Hernandez at the top of the order is a good leadoff hitter in his own right. He gets on base and he gets hits. Carlos Santana is a guy that I think is a pretty good acquisition, but he got paid a lot of money for that. So in terms of the lineup, it's a pretty good one. So I'm giving it a grade B. When it comes to the depth, I don't see any depth anywhere. Now, Cameron Rupp is a pretty solid backup catcher to have, I suppose, but after that, there really isn't much in terms of the rest of the infield with Pedro Florimon and Roman Quinn and Aaron Alter, and then in the minor league system where they have Andrew Knapp, another pretty good catcher. I mean, they could trade one of two between Andrew Knapp and Cameron Rupp. And then there's Derek Hall and Jess Mule, Valentine. Scott Kingery could be a guy that can be brought up this year. His MLB ETA is mid-2018. Will Middlebrooks is out indefinitely after suffering a fractured fibula, but he should be pretty good depth if he does come back. Same with Adam Rosales and Danny Ortiz, and there's Dylan Cozens, Colin Cowgill. So, I mean, not much in terms of their depths. A few guys, I guess. Not really much after a few guys. So, I mean, it's not. You have some guys, though. I mean, the catcher position's pretty good depth there, and I mean, the middle infield with Adam Rosales and Florimon, but not bad. Could be worse. Not good either. So I'm giving it a grade C. C minus. I'll say C minus. Not really in that okay range. Really more so that below average range. Nah, C. We'll go C. And now when it comes to their rotation, Jared Eichhoff and Mark Leiter will be out for some time. I mean, Leiter will be starting the season on the DL with a strained flexor, but Eichhoff will be out for 6 to 8 weeks after a strained lat. So, in terms of their rotation after those guys, there's Aaron Nola and not much. And I know that they picked up Jake Arrieta, but I don't like this signing. I don't. He's a fly ball pitcher, and the last time he pitched in a fly ball park, he did not do well at all. It was with the Orioles, yes, but when he went to the Cubs, he's a good fit in Wrigley Field. The only time he'll give up hits is, he shuts down left-handers, which is excellent because Wrigley Field doesn't fare well with left-handers as much as it does right-handers, and right-handed power hitters, they didn't do well as well. He had that outstanding season in 2015 for the Cubs. He also had a really good 2016 and 2014, but I don't trust him to do well in Citizens Bank. I don't trust him to be as good as he was in Wrigley Field. So I don't trust this rotation. I do not. There's Vince Velasquez and Nick Pivetta and Ben Lively, and those guys aren't that good. Aaron Nola is really the only upside that this rotation has. Jake Arrieta, I mean, he could, continue with his stuff that he had in Chicago just to adjust to Citizens Bank, but he might have that mandatory struggle year to start off in a new ballpark that doesn't really fit him very well. So, I'm giving this rotation a C-. I'm not very high on it at all. And now in terms of guys that could be brought up, they don't really have much of that either. I mean, there's already guys that have been brought up already. Zach Eflin has a year of MLB service time, over a year of MLB service time. Jake Thompson has come up a little bit, and I mean, there's just not really much here in terms of their rotation. When it comes to the bullpen, though, they have some really nice pieces. Hector Neris, Tommy Hunter was an acquisition. Hopefully he doesn't give up too many fly balls and allows that ERA to take a hit, but with his stuff, hopefully he'll be able to adjust to Citizens Bank. And Pat Neshek is another fly ball pitcher, but he was really good in Philly before he got traded to Colorado this past season, or in 2017, mind you. And then there's also Luis Garcia, Adam Morgan, Edubre Ramos, and Hobie Milner, and then a placeholder in Drew Hutchinson. So the bullpen is actually pretty good and pretty underrated, and I'm giving it a B-. I'm giving it a B- grade. And so if the Phillies are going to do anything this year, it's going to have to be their lineup staying healthy and their bullpen being as good as advertised. And that's if they're going to do anything this year. So yes, this team has a good lineup and solid bullpen. However, they have little to no depth and a subpar rotation that will hinder them from doing much this season. The addition of Jake Arrieta isn't a great one, but I guess it was a necessary one. For $25 million a year while losing a draft pick, the last time he played in a home run ballpark, he was hot garbage, so you better hope that him becoming a good pitcher wasn't just a product of Wrigley Field, and that his stuff will be reinvented enough to play in Citizens Bank. At the end of the day, the Phillies still aren't going to be that good since they are facing a tough schedule, and their roster isn't good enough to be able to get more than 75 wins. In terms of their over-under from Fangraphs is 75 and 87, I'm going under with 71 and 91, and fourth in the NL East. Let me know if you agree. Let me know why I'm delusional for underrating Jake Arrieta. These are predictions, and predictions are all about discussion and debate, because nothing is proven until it happens on the field. But this is what I see happening with the Phillies, and that'll do it for this Phillies edition of my 2018 single team MLB season previews. And so long.